I have this interesting phone here. We'll show you in a second, but what this is, when I switch the machine on, it goes into over temperature error. So I'm getting error code saying that temperature is too high, or some random errors, but at the same time it's very interesting behavior. Okay, so I will show you what's happening and we'll try to see what's going on here, but it's very interesting and I've never seen something like that before, so it should be an interesting video, I guess. So I switched the machine on now, so I'm getting this overheat symbol, the motor, and I have a X, so we know there's error code present. So error code 01F80041. Let me tell you what that is. That says a motor temperature on the master drive controller. Okay, so it's saying it's overheating master motor, and I've done some checks on it. Okay, so a few things I have done is I checked the resistance, and I will show you now. If you look here inside the chassis, I have two controllers. So I think this is a slave and this is the master, and I have two motors. Okay, and you can see the rats was here, the cables are chewed up, and it's been some work done here, trying to fix it. Plug is here, and you know, but so interesting. So measuring resistance here on the cable, and I'm having 520 ohms, which is kind of alright, because that's what you would expect. And resistance here is the same, 520 ohms, and now it's about 10 degrees outside, so it's around that's where it should be. So resistance is good, and the temperature sensor I think is good. But interesting part of that is, now look, if I disconnect this sensor, okay, the motor controller is not coming on. I switch the machine on again. I have a motor symbol, error codes. There's different error code, 01C6. So the motor controller is not turning on. So I'm not too sure why yet, but I would expect the motor to turn on, motor controller to turn on and give this error code. Okay, I will do them on that. So the error code is saying there is no CAN bus communication with the master drive controller. Okay, so the drive controller is off. So what's your thought on that? What do you think it could be? I think I will do the demo quickly as well. I will show you the same test. I will disconnect the slave temperature sensor, and then we're gonna try to see if controller is gonna come on that way. Okay. So I disconnect the slave drive motor now. Let's see if it's gonna start up. Still same error. Okay, now look at this. Switch that off, and I'm gonna plug the temperature sensor back on here. Okay, so the temperature sensor back on. Let's start it up. It's turning on again. Here the double click, so that means the master controller came on. Two errors. I think this error already checked, so that is a slave controller. Temperature sensor open. So interestingly, without the temperature sensor, the motor controller is not starting. So next test I'm going to try to do is I'm going to disconnect one wire from the temperature sensor, and we're going to try to see if the motor controller will switch on. It's interesting why the temperature sensor preventing motor controller from starting up. So I'm here disconnecting one wire only. So we leave one in and one is disconnected. Starting up again. Okay, controller didn't start, and I think we're gonna have C6. Okay, the controller did not start. All right, I'm gonna swap the wires now. So I swapped the wire, so now I have a red one on the white one. So let's try again. Okay, so still controller is not starting up at all. That's strange. And if I look into the software, I have drive controllers missing. So I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I kind of would be suspecting the controller to start at least and give us an error saying that the temperature sensor is open, but now is completely dead. So it's interesting what's happening with this temperature sensor. So what I've done now, I just checking the ground fuse because I was suspecting there is some issues with the ground. So in that fuse box there is a ground fuse, 2 amp fuse. So that's been blown, and yeah, I'm gonna check for the grounds around and make sure the grounds are good. There's more fuses in the fuse box. So you see this on this side where we have a blue wires, that's where the ground fuses are. So just out of curiosity, let's see if they are good. And that's got 10 amp here, which is 10 amp good, and 2 amp. I think 2 amp is blown. Okay, so 10 amp is good and the 2 amp is gone. So let's put the new fuses here and over there, and then we're gonna try. Okay, so ground fuses replaced. Let's see if that's gonna make any difference now. So isolator out. Okay, still didn't start. And we have a master controller. Okay, let's switch it off. Plug the sensor back together. And let's see now. So that's came on again. And I can see the contactor is closed, you see? So that is closed. So controller is on. It's seeing overheat. I wonder if there is a problem with that controller actually. Because you know why I tried to. I can use a boom functions. Let me see if the software is correct. So we have a right software, looks like it. That's interesting. Why is it showing pump motor controller red, temperature and the controller, and the motor and temperature is red on the pump controller? The drive controller all green. That's strange because it is reporting the overheat on that controller. So error code says that is a it says there is a master controller and a slave controller now, but the slave controller is disconnected. Let me plug this back in. So I plugged this sensor back in. Let's start together. Okay, so overheat again. Pump motor controller is overheated. Drive controller is all good. So error code now is saying only master controller, master motor is overheated. But the no resistance is good, so there's not a problem there. So I think it's actually going to be the master controller fault. And we may need to change that. So I don't have a part with me at the moment, so I may gonna have to come back and just continue the video. But I think it's this controller that is causing problems here. It's interesting how it's reacting like that. But yeah, let me try. So with the new controller, new fuse holder, haven't tried it yet, so we're gonna do it together. But hopefully it's gonna be good news and not a disappointment. But let's do it now. Just to show you, that's a new controller there and the new fuse holder. So that fuse holder has been cracked, and I haven't tried it yet, so machine is off. So let's pull the isolator out. Oh, looks good, no sparks. Okay, fingers crossed. Hey, that's a good news, huh? So contactor is on. Yeah, that's fully closed. The cable is connected, and we have no error codes. That's good. And interestingly, look, if you go to pump motor controller, yeah, before, remember, it was red, and now it's green as well. And that's working fine, so we will have boom function. So I will test the drive because the fault was in the drive. These two controllers are on, so obviously everyone is curious now to see what's gonna happen if I disconnect these wires. I wonder if the controller is still not gonna start. So let's do it. So we know for next time, yeah? No? Controller started, but now it's showing overheat. But if you look into software versions, you see that both controllers is transmitting the software, so the controllers are on regardless of temperature sensor is still disconnected. Remember, before we disconnect that, the controllers didn't start, and now it's all good. So of course you're gonna get error codes with the master controller temperature sensor, but yeah, that's cool. So let's switch it off. I'm gonna connect it and I'm gonna test the drive, and we see from there. So I tested out, drives fine, steers fine, backs and forwards, all speeds, goes up and down, no problems. So it was not an easy, straightforward job, quite interesting one. And that's our bad guy. So we got a bad guy, and then yeah, it's all working fine now. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.